A little bit of a news day today. Expats behaving badly and ending up in jail. I'll talk about a couple different events there. Talk about crime statistics and whether you should be worried or not, how they pertain to you in the Philippines and really around the world. And we'll talk a little bit about what's in the news as far as real estate, our condo prices, our house prices dropping. Lots of news coming out of metropolitan Manila. It's in all, even the mainstream news has been interviewing people about even it went from, first it was over 3 year excess supply, now it's over 8 year supply of condos. Huge oversupply for a number of different factors. I'll touch on that. How is that going to affect other cities as well? Is it going to trickle down here? And I'll kind of touch on those items as well. Into the news. By the way, I'm not putting up headlines. This is a resort down over in the west side of Cebu Island, Mole Bowl. And if you say Mole Bowl wrong, I think it's a bad word, and people tell me I say it wrong. So anyway, this resort, our stay here, very cheap, like 1,500 per night, right on the beach. And it's not a great white sand beach, but they've got sardine runs out here. You can snorkel out, scuba dive. They've got scuba trips over to Pescador Island, just a little ways away. I've gone scuba diving over there. The super typhoon, December 16th of 2020, I believe, blew a lot of these, did big damage to this whole area, and this area's even the first couple of years after that, they didn't really rebuild most of this area. There was debate about how far back from the sea you need to be. And somebody told me they have redone some of this, so need to get down there one day and find out what's going on. In fact, that yellow building, center right just a little bit, it got blown away. It was no longer there as well. Anyway, expats behaving badly, and here's something that you really need to watch out for. I'll get into more details here in the last week or two. I think it was on the north end of Cebu Island. There was a foreigner, and he was at Hagnia Port, I believe, and he was taking girls up to Bantayan Island, very popular tourist area. There's a number of islands up there, and people go up there. They go island hopping. And he had, I think, 3 girls. The problem is they were underage. I think one was 17. And the tourist police noticed him with these girls all by himself, and they questioned him and ended up arresting him. He didn't have a passport, proper ID with him. They questioned the girls. Apparently, he did have, the article said, a special relationship with a friend of these girls, and she was over 18, but she wasn't with them. Um and I've read different articles over the years. In Bohol here a number of years ago, they arrested a guy going from Cebu City over to Bohol. Same thing. He was taking these underage girls over there. And whether you have good intentions or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And I think I've told the story before. When I first came here, walking from the IT Park area down to SM Mall, there's a little bridge. There was kids living under the bridge, and I was going to make them a deal. I thought about it after I met them the first time, talked to them a little bit, and I was going to say, clean up if this is your home, clean it up. I'll bring you garbage bags. Clean it up, keep it clean, and I'll bring you some food on a regular basis. And anyway, for a number of reasons, I decided to never did that. Some months later, I was walking. A couple of ladies stand on the side of the street and started talking to them. And one was a prosecutor here in the Philippines, and we went and had a couple sodas, I think, at the little store. and talked. And I told her that she had been sent to California to learn how to set up stings to gather evidence. And I told her about I was going to help these kids, try to help them. They're homeless, living under a bridge. And I said I decided not to. And she said, "It's a good thing you didn't because we would have prosecuted you." So it doesn't matter how good your intentions are. Uh, don't don't be left alone if you're not related to underage kids, basically. And if you're from the U.S. or Europe, they've got a lower legal age here, but I think they raised it recently. I'm not really sure what it is, but that doesn't pertain to you. You are still going to be under your country, the USA, for instance, Canada, whatever. You're still under their laws unless you're a citizen here. And if you're messing around with underage kids in a different country, you're going to create some problems you really wish you didn't have. Now, let me tell you about crime in general. Recently, and on a rare occasion, I get comments on my videos. The crime in the Philippines is very high, and they'll throw out some numbers. It's such and such percent, and the U.S. is only this percent, and that kind of information. And it's actually meaningless. Location is what I've lived in Minneapolis and Las Vegas and Los Angeles, Orange County, and Phoenix, Arizona area. And location is what matters. There can be areas with high crime, and there can be areas with very low crime. And I've been here almost 10 years here in the Philippines, 3 different trips, and lived in 6 different condos, 6 different areas of Cebu City. And I read a lot. I've always been a news junkie. I read a lot of news and international news, Philippines news, U.S. news. And 99% or more of the crimes here in the Philippines, from everything I read and talking to so many people, is Filipino on Filipino. And it's often can be drug related. It can be election related, where there's an election, I think, in May. And I know a couple of years ago there was an article that said only 32 people were killed during this election season, election related killings. So it's down. That's much better than it was the last election, something like that. And so you can have, there are families that kind of control. They have a lot of control and therefore can build their wealth. You wonder why they're talking about that in USA right now, as they're looking at how do all these Congress people, how do these politicians become multimillionaires on it's a high salary for most of us, but relatively low salary to become a millionaire. How do you do that? Because your cost of living is very high. Same thing here. Families control different areas, and if somebody else tries to take over the area, politically wise, there are shootings, and there's been a number of them. And there's a gun restriction during this election period, and they've caught a number of people with guns. And there's a fair amount of handing out money to Filipinos. Vote for me because then I'm going to do all these promises, and they'll hand out 50s or hundreds or more than that, depends upon the area that they're running in. So not like there isn't corruption in most of the world when it comes to elections. Hopefully, you keep the corruption to a minimum at least. Since the first election, people were trying to cheat in elections, no doubt. But hopefully, you keep it reasonably honest so that the will of the people come through. I follow a few YouTube channels, news channels in Thailand and other parts of the world as well. And Thailand, you'll see foreigners. They get a little different mix of foreigners there, and you'll see them being involved in crime and being killed or killing their girlfriend or partner over the years, and you'll see more of that in Thailand. But there again, the numbers don't mean that much because they get four times as many or more than four times as many tourists and expats in Thailand. Therefore, just the numbers, per se, even the same percentage of foreigners getting in trouble with the law because of the population, because of the number of tourists there. And yeah, one other thing, it's the smoky season. They burn the crops there, so especially in northern Thailand. I've got a friend that just arrived there, I think, about a week ago, and he's down further south. But yeah, I think even in Bangkok area, they get some of that smoke from burning crops off, and that up Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, those areas really get bad pollution up there because of all that smoke and burning. Anyway, let's talk about real estate. Lichu, Colliers, Lamudi, other large property management companies, real estate companies, have been talking about the huge oversupply in especially metropolitan Manila area of condominiums. And it's been going on for over a year that I've been hearing it, because I listen to in on a lot of the real estate conversations online and read a lot of the articles. But here in the last few months, it is even making mainstream media, the news shows. They're bringing in these people, and they're talking about this oversupply. Why is it happening? Number of reasons. Overbuilding. A lot of condo projects came ready for occupancy after the pandemic because they slowed down for those couple of years, and then they finished them off. That's one reason. Getting rid of POGOs, Philippine offshore gaming operators. I've done a number of videos about that. In fact, I just did a deeper dive into this issue and how it's going to affect other cities in the Philippines as well. I'm not a real estate agent, broker, but I do research and read and help analyze a lot of that type of thing. So if you want to become a member, you can get a deeper dive into that and other medical and dental in the Philippines, risks in the Philippines, a number of other issues that I cover in the membership sites as well. And the place to sign up is right underneath the video, the lower left corner. I think there's a little button that says join. I believe that's it. And if you don't want to join, you can still support the channel. PayPal. First comment of most videos that I pin, there's a PayPal account, as well as a Buy Me a Coffee, and a couple other ways to support the channel. Anyway, back to real estate. Yeah, POGOs, I think at their height, one article I read, at their height, they had like 300,000 people involved in POGOs directly, and then you had tens of thousands or another 100,000 indirectly involved. Maybe 200,000 Chinese, Malaysians, Indonesians, primarily Chinese. What happened is they were caught doing a lot of illegal activities, kidnappings and drugs and prostitution and love scams, crypto scams. And so this President Marcos Jr. declared, I think in June 2024, that they all had to shut down by the end of 2024. So tens and hundreds of thousands of people left, Chinese. And at the present time, 2024, the big lack in tourism numbers is from the Chinese. And tourist department says they can't tie that to the POGOs, but I will step out and say, yes, it's because of the POGOs. A lot of those tourist numbers were involved directly or indirectly in the POGOs. And there's the registered legal POGOs and the unregistered illegal POGOs, which they continue to find. And there can be hundreds of people. I know one tower, Mactan Island, a girl I dated, I think 3 different times. She spoke Mandarin Chinese, and she worked there. She said they rented the whole tower, 4 condominium towers. They rented one whole tower. So thousands of people right there, 25%, and they found other illegals that they continue to bust them. They set up in subdivisions. One subdivision in Manila area, I think 80% of the houses in the subdivision they were renting out. So they're having a huge effect in various parts of metropolitan Manila, but also across the Philippines and these other cities. It's going to affect. It's a trickle down effect. I've talked to a couple of real estate sales ladies the other day who worked for Ayala, and I mentioned that, and they said, "Oh, yeah, that's only in Luzon." Well, I'm sorry, but it's not only in Luzon. When I came 2015, 2016, even I found articles in the paper 2016. Talked to an architect in 2015 and asked him, "Are they overbuilding? I saw all the building going on." He said, "Well, that's a discussion that everybody is talking about." And a lot more properties have come ready for occupancy since then, and a lot more are ready to come open in the next year or two as well. You take that with the pandemic, with millions of people leaving the Philippines, and we're still in recovery mode. We're not up where they want to be yet. So there are issues around the Philippines now. Let me show you a video, and then I'll get a little more into of Leach Show discussing this quite some time ago. Let me back up just a minute here, and first, this came out, don't remember the date on this. Let's see, December 2024, Metro Manila condo oversupply now equivalent to 34 months. And anyway, that was well known, the number that was put out by many different people, outlets. And Collier's came out relatively recently. Metro Manila condo oversupply worsens with 8.2-year market absorption time. And I think there's a lack of transparency in the market, and it's taken time to try to quantify all the information and find out really how bad it is. And as more data comes in, and I suspect that the real estate companies and property management companies going to try to put the best face on this. And yeah, it's the best time to invest. Well, now or 6 months or a year or 2 years, we don't really know. Is the Philippines going to recover faster or slower? Anyway, let's get into the interview by Mr. Lichu, very smart man. There again, much more information on my membership site if you're interested.
The second market will have a tough time because the rents will come down by 50%, and it will take a longer time to get tenants, and most of them will be local tenants as against the foreign tenants. The other thing to consider is the office sector. The office sector will be hit quite hard, but thankfully the POGO sector occupy about 1 million square meters, more or less. Maybe it's about 800,000 to 1 million square meters today. Most of those office landlords will take a long time to find tenants.
So when can you expect rents to drop, sales prices and rents to drop in other parts of the Philippines? Good question. That information is starting to get out, but there will be a period of denial for 6 months or longer, I think, in Cebu and Iloilo and Bacolod, others, Davao City, probably. But I've read dozens and dozens and dozens of comments, probably hundreds of comments on news sites, YouTube channels, real estate sites, and it's not just happening here. You can find a lot of downturns in various places in the world. In USA, I follow some of the real estate information there. Australia, Thailand has overbuilt many years ago, and I keep hearing they continued to do that, and prices are got a loud motorboat going by out there, a banca. Another big factor is when did the person that you're dealing with, when did they buy the property? It's something you want to know. If they bought pre-selling very early on, they came in at a very low price, and they can afford to. They can still get a return on their investment by lowering their price. If they bought in 2019, 2020 at the top of the market, or even 2024, they're going to need a lot more money just to get a return on their investment. But at the same time, they're getting absolutely nothing if they're not renting it out. Now, there are some people that have enough money, and they'll just hold it for a couple of years if they have to, or longer, rather than drop the price, sales price and or rental price. There are those people. If you're looking for good deals, you need to hunt for them. Just like if you're fishing or hunting for some type of game, it takes time to find the good deals out there if that's your intention. I rent the place I'm in, a one bedroom, 42 square meters, nice balcony, 20 floors up, and they were renting this place before the government lockdowns, the pandemic. They were renting it for $35,000, and they had one tenant. I think I was the second tenant, so for a long time they didn't rent it. But at 35,000, and after the pandemic, when things started opening up, they dropped the price to 25,000. Now, a good way to judge things is figure out the cost per square meter, per square foot, if you want. And I'm paying about 595 pesos per square meter. I've got a friend at Solanea over by across from Ayala Mall in Cebu City, and I think he was paying 30 or 32,000 for 36 square meters over there. It's convenient across the street from Ayala, but it's considered a pretty good project. Got a big, nice pool area. I've done videos over there. But they raised the rent to 35,000, I believe. So he's paying almost 1,000 pesos per square meter. A few days ago, I was talking to two sales ladies in Ayala Mall, and they were trying to sell me a unit in Solanea, one of the new towers, and they said, yeah, studio, 25 square meter studio, sales price is over 6 million. Just a few short years ago, they were selling for 3 million something, and even prior to that, 2 million something in the pre-selling stages. Anyway, just how can you justify a return on investment if you want to rent it out? I don't think there's any room for any reasonable return on investment. That type of thing. You add in condo fees and maintenance and other types of things. Anyway, the thought that I've covered in my membership site also is that maybe they've raised the rates so high that when they negotiate down, they're still in a very high range. Not sure. Anyway, thanks for watching. Safe travels to you all. See you in the next video.